This is Marielle joining.
Hi, Mariel. Good afternoon. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much. Is this Atik?
Yeah, it's me, I think. Yeah.
Great to meet you. Good to connect. I'm sorry, I'm calling from Egypt right now, and typically when I connect to calls with both video and audio, the audio cuts out. So I figured I would just stick with audio tonight rather than chance it.
It's all right. It's no worries. Thank you very much for joining.
No, thank you so much. I was so interested to hear what Ryan had to say when he described the Carebit, and I look forward to learning more.
Yeah. Shall we wait for more people? I believe there are only two of us. Have you got some time?
Sure, of course.
That's
Hey, this is Ryan. Good afternoon or good evening.
Hi, Ryan. How are you?
I'm doing well. How is life in Egypt treating you already?
Life in Egypt is good. I have to say I'm a little bit jet lagged, so hoping to get some good sleep this weekend, and the weekend starts tomorrow night. So
I bet. I can't believe you're in Egypt already. It's like yesterday
I
you were
know.
here. How are you, Atik?
Thank you very much for coming that late. I believe it's like 4 hours ahead of our time in UK.
Yeah.
It's not too bad. It's only 10 p.m.
All right, that's okay then. Okay, I believe I will start with how I decided to start Carebit, and then we'll go into the details of how I plan to operate.
Sure.
It was like I'm a family man. If maybe Ryan, I've told you before or not, I've got a good job in network security. I work in Hewlett Packard, and it was just a thought. I saw about a month, 2 months ago when I saw Bitcoin was 6,000. 6,500, 7,000. And I was thinking whoever buys this Bitcoin right now is gonna make a fortune out of it, like in a year or 2 years time. But my thought was who is gonna buy it, or who is able to buy it at this right moment in time? There are people who don't think anything apart from raising their kids. They're paying their fees for education or food or anything. They don't have any time to think about crypto. What I thought, I need to create something that will give all the investors something, and also they can actually take out something out for those people who need it. So it was just one night. Then I was thinking all about it, how I will do it, and I was planning about it. And then the next morning, I started working on the website. I started working on white paper. Everything started coming together, and then it took me about 2 months before we started our initial chain.
Wow. And so you said that was actually at the beginning of this year?
Yes, that was, yeah.
Wow, so it's happened so quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it was a 24-hour work basically for me. It's been like 3-4 months that my family is waiting for me.
What a whirlwind.
I've not given them much time in the past few months. So I was thinking I need to do something, and I have to create a platform for people who can actually donate, and then we actually work as a independent charity, and also being transparent as possible. So I'll tell you how I plan to work now. There would be two basic funds in Carebit. One would be an emergency fund. My main thinking about Carebit initially was to have emergency funds ready for disaster situations. There would be a lot of benefits. I'll discuss with you quite a few now. Whenever there's a charity and they plan to raise something, it takes time. Even if they've got funds from wherever sources they have got it, even if they plan to send it to some disaster site, it takes time through traditional banking system. So what I thought was we'll have a coin dedicated to the charity purpose. We'll have it ready anytime, and then we can have employees all over the world that will work for Carebit, and then they can actually reach out to those people in time, most probably in hours. That's not possible nowadays. No charity does that, and it takes time. So why not we actually work out something? What I decided to do it like that initially. So that would be one fund which would be kept aside just for emergency purpose. There would be another fund which we will partnership with the existing charities as well. So considering your questions which you have posted before, our community actually basically will have also organizational structure, a governance plan, so that we can actually have voting on our charities which we decide to give our funds to. So that would be one platform which we can go to, okay, say yes or no. There would be another community voting as well, that we can actually say, okay, yeah, this is the charity, or this is the organization which we need to support, and then we will have a vote from them as well. So that is the basic structure. It all needs to work upon. There's a lot of work needed in achieving those tasks. But what I've done is in the last 3 months is give my community a basic platform which everybody can work, and nobody is like is owning something. All my assets are declared on the website. It's in the Discord. It's all on the blockchain. Nobody can interfere with that. It's a form of a non-profit organization. It's a new form that it's all on blockchain. You can't say that somebody is profiting from it.
Right. Great. Well, thank you so much for that overview. I really appreciate it. It provides really helpful context for the white paper. I did have a couple of quick questions. Is this the right time to ask them, or did you want to share other things about the project first?
Yeah, you can ask them. Yeah. I might have missed something, but yeah, you can ask them, and I'll try to reply.
Great, thank you. And just so you know, for context, Ryan had been chatting to me about Carebit, and I'm involved in the world of nonprofit fundraising. So of course I was particularly interested by this. And he very patiently answered a bunch of my questions. And then said, you know what, actually, you should talk to this source. So first, I really appreciate your time. And also, as someone who works full-time in the nonprofit field, it is really great to learn that there are people from outside the field who are interested in investing their time and their technical expertise in helping us access resources that we wouldn't otherwise have access to. Because you're right. You said, people are focused on day-to-day needs or on more traditional means of fundraising. And I have never heard anyone actually kind of intersecting or crossing and combining the nonprofit world with cryptocurrencies. And so this is really exciting. I think one of my first questions is your organization itself, is it a registered nonprofit? And if so, is it registered in the UK or is it in the US?
It's a pretty complex issue. I've actually contacted HMRC and Charities Commission as well. Their criteria for being a charity or being a charitable organization is quite different. Nobody knows whether it applies to crypto charity organizations or not. But what I've got is they told me that if you know the trustees, they don't decide for themselves whatever to do with the funds, then you don't need to register. There are other technical terms as well, which our lawyers would be able to advise you more on that. But the thing is, we have got everything declared on our site. No one trustee owns anything in the organization, and all the donations which are coming into the system are all trackable. These are the things which organizations, which authorities require you to declare, and then they will tell you, okay, yeah, you are registered with us because we are actually keeping an eye on all those things. I've actually eliminated the need for that.
Could you explain that further?
So let's say if anybody asks me that, like you have asked the same question, like how will you decide where the funds go? So I'm not the only one to decide that. So what they're saying that if a trustee is not the sole say in the company, like, okay, I'm giving it to this charity, or I'm giving it to this person, or I'm giving it to this individual, they cannot register us as a charity because not one person takes the decision.
Right. So it's if I understand correctly, it sounds like within the UK system, you are operating almost as an organizer of individual funders as opposed to as a charity or nonprofit yourself. You bring
Yes.
together individual funders, and then as a group, they almost vote on where to place this social investment. Is that right?
That's correct. Because the reason is that we as an organization, we don't fit into any of those criteria. There would be laws when crypto becomes legal and everything. You get to that point when governments take their part in the crypto investments, and then they say, okay, yeah, we need this organization to have like that and follow these rules. Until then, nobody can say that we have to follow the existing rules and we don't fit into that criteria, if you know what I mean.
Right. And I know that one of the main benefits, at least in the United States, for people to donate to charity, one of the main reasons people do is for the tax benefit. But I suppose because this is a cryptocurrency, and I know next to nothing about cryptocurrencies, but from what I understand, would people receive any type of tax benefit from this, specifically
Yes.
American?
Yes, we are actually planning to have a mobile app. So developers are working on it. It would be a fully all-in-one app where people can buy crypto, they can sell it, they can donate it, and at the same time, they can actually track it with all the receipts, where the funds have gone and everything. Plus, they will also be able to have a tax receipts. In UK, we will have to work because crypto is all over the world. So we'll
Right.
have to see all the whatever their laws are. So, and we'll have to obey that. But that would come like whenever a donor is not trying to be anonymous. So they'll have to identify themselves to get the tax receipts.
Got it. And so for something like, I think the second type of fund that you mentioned, where a person is committing a certain amount of funds, and then they're voting as a group, and those funds go to an official nonprofit or charity. So they would then receive a tax receipt from that nonprofit?
Sorry, come back again.
Sure. I think what I'm asking is, when a person gets a proof of donation, would they get a proof of donation from the end recipient, from the nonprofit or individual who is receiving the funds, or would they be receiving that receipt from your organization?
No, they would be receiving, the receipts would be issued by us.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Have you spoken with a number of different people in the field? I'm sure that you've had the chance to connect with individuals from a number of different countries. Have you asked whether that is sufficient for tax authorities? Unfortunately, I can only speak from the U.S. perspective, but my sense is that the U.S. will only, I believe U.S. tax authorities will only respect donation receipts from registered 501c3 charities, which is the charity designation in the United States. But I'm definitely not an expert in tax law, so.
Yeah, definitely. As I said, we'll have to consider every country individually. There's different laws in UK, different laws in US. So if a person is coming from Africa and he's donating, we'll have to obey those laws. But that, I believe, would be integrated into the app with the time. Right now, it would be a standard tax receipts. If a donor wants to stay anonymous, then there would be no receipt at all.
Of course, right. And have you had the chance to connect with a number of charities or nonprofits about this opportunity?
Yes, my main aim was actually to work as an independent charity itself. That's where we are trying to go ultimately. But because we have decided that we will keep those two funds separate. So we have actually approached quite a few charities in Pakistan as well. I was in Pakistan about 2 weeks ago. So we have spoken to quite a few people. The main thing is that where I'm concerned is whenever you donate or you give it to some charity, the money actually enters into the same traditional system,
Right.
where that tracking is not possible. So with that system being in place, you can actually convert it to fiat, and then that's it. Your tracking is stopped over there. At that place, you cannot say where the charities have actually spent that money.
Mm-hmm.
My main aim is to tell them, okay, yeah, I am a charity, an independent charity. It's a crypto charity. It's a blockchain non-profit organization. We will actually go and fund these events on our own.
Right. And can you explain a little bit more to help me understand what that might look like? Specifically in the first case, it sounds to me like what you talked about from the emergency model is very similar to what something in my world, in the nonprofit world, is called direct cash transfers. Okay. And that's when we try to remove the barrier of a human being between the donor, and we want to remove the middleman between the donor and the person who really needs the money. Am I understanding correctly how your emergency fund would be structured?
So that emergency fund would be, if have you heard about crypto cards? We have got payment cards that we can actually integrate. Like nowadays, we have got Visa cards which are withdrawn right now, but it would be MasterCards. So
right, I think Brian has told me a little bit about them.
Yes. So what will happen, that I've mentioned it in my white paper as well. We'll have employees with those cards, and we can actually send care coins in a matter of a second, like on the other part of the world. So they will receive those care coins in that card, and they can actually spend it as a normal Visa or MasterCard wherever they want.
Okay, and in this example, the people with the cards, those are employees of Carebit, or are they the actual people who are in need during these emergencies?
They would be employees, and if there are some volunteers willing to help, they would be volunteers as well.
Ah. And and then I understand from what you said earlier that you have a particular interest in transparency and in tracking exactly where those donations go. With that system, is there a way to track exactly how those employees or volunteers are distributing the funds?
Yes, we'll have all the, because we will have cards with those employees. We'll have all the receipts uploaded on the website. Whenever they spend any K coins, whatever they are spending it on, we'll be obliged to upload those receipts onto the website. So what will happen? We'll say, okay, yeah, these are the events which we have spent K coins. These are the transaction IDs that we have sent Care coins to. So this many coins have been sent. So people can see that, okay, this many coins, it values to, let's say, $100.
Right.
They will be able to see it. $100 have been sent to this person. You understand?
Yes.
So once he spends those Care coins, we'll have receipts uploaded to the website. So in our tracking tool, you will be able to see which charities or which events which we have spent those coins which you have donated, and plus the receipts will be uploaded as well. So he will be able to see, okay, yeah, how much food was bought, these clothes were bought, shoes were bought, or something, whatever was bought for them. Right. They would be on the website and also on our tracking tool.
Got it. Okay. And then is there, but it sounds like there's not, so it sounds like you will have a high level of trust in the employees on the ground so that you can trust them when you are transferring this money to their cards, that when they're buying these shoes or food items, that they are in fact distributing it to the people who need it, as opposed to turning around and selling it for fiat, for cash on the street. I think I've done a little bit of work in Yemen.
Yes, I know what your concerns are. Yeah, that's why I said we are building corporate governance. We'll have 7-9 numbers of directors. So nobody will be sitting on the seats. Like I don't want to sit in front of the computer and saying, okay, yeah, you will go and spend on it. There will be directors going directly and seeing whether everything is being done or not. This is, the employees will be there just to speed up the process, if you know what I mean.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah, nobody will be sitting over here and looking over, okay, yeah, have you done it? No, yeah, I've done it. No, that won't be the case.
Okay. And so if I understand correctly, just to kind of wrap up that first type of support that you mentioned, there would never be a time in your model when a person who is in poverty, a person from a very poor community would themselves have a crypto card. It would always be through someone in your organization. Is that correct?
Yes, because there's what I'm thinking is not introducing crypto to them, but helping via crypto. So if we are in crypto world, we are technical people. We can actually help them. Then why not? We'll do that. But if somebody wants to come in crypto, I mean that's their own personal business. If they want to do it, they can.
Right. Okay. Okay. And then for the second part, well, actually, let me pause there and ask. Before the call, I just Googled around very quickly because I find this idea extremely interesting, and I know so little about this world. And I came across a really interesting article on Medium by Brian Armstrong. And I'm wondering if this is also something that you've seen and if you have been in conversation with him. I think the article was from early January. I don't know if Brian Armstrong is it's January.
Is he from Coinbase?
Yes. And I was wondering if there was a relationship between your organization and his.
Coinbase is. I would love to have a relationship with the Coinbase. I've sent Brian Armstrong an email. If you scroll down that Medium article, you can actually contact the team. I'm not sure whether you can contact Brian, but you can actually contact the team to say, okay, any ideas or anything like that. If you want to say that what you have done is like that. So that's really exactly the my idea, which he's saying over there in that article. I read that article and I contacted him, but I've not received a response yet from any of the team members or Brian itself. But that's exactly, you got it. That's exactly what I'm planning to do. He knows that the system which charities are current charities are in, that's not going to work.
Yeah, so I think one of the things that I found most intriguing about that article was that it sounded like he was using charities as almost as a mechanism for increasing adoption of cryptocurrencies at the grassroots level in developing markets. Because if I understood his model correctly, he was recommending that there wouldn't be a middleman, like an employee converting the cryptocurrency into a fiat currency or into tangible material aid, but he would be giving, I think, some sort of, or his recommendation or vision was that the end user would have the cards. And I was curious if there was a debate within the community about whether that was a strategic, an interesting strategic direction.
Yes, I understand where you are coming from. I've read that article. Think of Bitcoin in early 2009, 2010. Nobody would accept Bitcoin at that time. But if you try to buy things now, people are there that will say, okay, I'll accept Bitcoin.
Yeah, yeah.
So these are the things which CARE would actually achieve in time. I mean, I can't go and say to somebody right now that accept CARE. He would say, well, what is CARE?
Right.
If I say accept Bitcoin, he will say, okay, yeah. He might say, okay, yeah, I will accept Bitcoins, but what is CARE? He doesn't know. So that's my main aim. That the ultimate goal would be, because building this system is to get rid of, the main aim is to get rid of fiat transactions. So all the transactions would be done in CARE on the blockchain, and ultimately we'll cut off the fiat transactions. So once that's, I mean, it can take about 2 years, 3 years, who knows? But until then, we can't just sit down and say, okay, yeah, we will do nothing. My main aim to create this platform was actually to go out and help people.
I think it's a wonderful, I think it's such a wonderful mission. And I was extremely excited when I read your white paper because it resonated with me as someone who has experienced many of the challenges that you anticipated in the white paper. I have a few more questions about the second pillar that you mentioned, giving support through existing nonprofits or charities. I was wondering if there was a process by which you verify which charities qualify for this type of support.
Yeah, that's what our directors and community will decide. So we'll have a voting system in place where we will present them with certain foundations or charities or trusts, where we'll say, okay, we want to fund these charities. So we'll discuss it within our board of directors as well. And then we'll ask from the community as well. But the main vote, I believe, would be a collective discussion between directors.
Yeah, and when you mentioned community consensus in your white paper as to the specific charity that would receive the funds, how does that work? Is it majority vote, or is it a vote that's proportionate to the amount of money that someone has contributed to the fund?
No, it's all open on our Discord channel. So we have got like about 1,400 community members in Discord. So people can actually come and vote and say, okay, yeah, we want this charity, we want this charity. So they can actually just say a click, and then they will say, okay, yeah, so which charity has got the most number of votes?
Okay. And are votes weighted on the basis of who has the most Carebit?
No, it's not.
Okay. So how much I have personally, so if I, for example, were someone with Carebit, the amount of Carebit that I have would not influence, I would not get more of a say than someone who has less Carebit that they've donated.
Yeah, it would be because we have got a VIP channel for people in our community. So whoever has got like 5 masternodes, those who have got more Carebits. So that is a special channel for them where we can discuss all the things. But I plan to do voting on these things in a general channel where everyone can actually come and vote. And let's say we have got like in VIP channel there would be about like maybe 40 or 50, but we have got 1400 in all of the Discord channel. So
Got
their
it.
voice would be heard as well. Their voice would be heard as well. But I plan to do it in general channel as well.
Ah, okay. One of my impressions from doing fundraising for nonprofits is that I do find many of the donors I work with expect to have more influence the more money they contribute. And so perhaps that's a strategic question to consider, whether you want people.
You cannot say that they actually are donating Carebit, so because they have donated more Carebit, so they will have more say. The masternode system is something like if somebody has more masternodes, they are getting more coins. It doesn't have to do anything with the donation part. If they do, donate, then obviously if they decide to not to stay anonymous, if they want to come up, obviously that will be considered.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Is this is actually an area that I don't know, so it's really posed as a genuine question. For nonprofits, is it important for the nonprofits to know who the donors are?
It's because we are thinking ahead of time. There would be ultimately there would be some regulations coming into crypto as well. We can actually anticipate that. So what will happen that to avoid money laundering and all that stuff, because the same laws I believe would come into crypto. 1 Bitcoin is 10,000. Whoever has donated $1 million, let's say, who is that person? Nobody knows who is that person. So where did that money come from? So we'll have, if you see on my website, and also I've mentioned it on white paper, there would be a certain amount that somebody can donate. And then
I saw the threshold amount, right?
The threshold amount. So they can actually decide to stay anonymous if they want. But if there's more than that threshold amount, then obviously we'll have to consider reporting it to organizations and authorities, like, because the money might have come from any source. What source, we don't know. So if it's too much money, I mean, what would be that threshold? That's still to be decided. Especially Carebit is also in its infancy. I would say crypto is also not massively adopted everywhere. So we are just thinking ahead of our time, just to avoid any problems which might have as an organization.
I think that's really smart. I know that the United States is such a heavily the nonprofit and charity environment in the United States is very heavily regulated, and so many of the questions that I have are questions that are informed by that heavy level of regulation.
Yes.
And I think it shows a lot of foresight to be considering those, and also when I'm thinking about Carebit outside of the United States and outside of some of these more developed markets and sophisticated markets.
It's all part of being transparent. We want to be transparent ourselves. We want our donors to be transparent so that nobody would have any problems. We don't want to create any problems for ourselves in future. We might get audited or anything like that. So we want to say that, okay, yeah, these are the things which we want to avoid. So yeah, as you said, we want to see some foresights onto that.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, I'm just reflecting on what my own nonprofit, our capabilities when it comes to the types of donations that we receive, and I think that we we have no expertise in an area like this and no familiarity with cryptocurrencies, I think we're probably representative of many, small, medium-sized nonprofits in the U.S.
Okay.
I'm wondering if there is an educational program that helps nonprofits understand the basics of how cryptocurrencies, nodes, and masternodes work, and so it seems a little less scary.
I mean, it's not that scary, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
We have got the capabilities. We can actually create a program for you guys if you want. We have got quite a few qualified guys in our Discord. We can actually make a video for you guys explaining everything. That's not a problem. It's not that hard, to be honest. The main thing is that what I was thinking, it shouldn't be that involved for a new user. So I've seen there's quite a few other platforms which claim to be charity platforms, but once you go into that platform, that a normal user can't handle it. So that's what my main aim is to, because if somebody wants to donate, he just wants to donate. He don't want to learn about so many inner workings of blockchain or anything like that. So that's my main aim as well. I mean, we can have a video that would actually explain top level knowledge that someone needs to know, and then that can be directed to a nonprofit sector as well.
Yeah, I think that would be phenomenal. One thing you'll find is you probably have already. I think nonprofits are traditionally understaffed and operate with the bare minimum of expertise necessary to do their basic functions.
I understand. Yeah. I'm a nonprofit organization myself. I understand.
Yeah. You know exactly what it's like.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so I think the final area that I had just wanted to bring out, because I hadn't seen it explicitly covered in the white paper, and it was actually the thing that made me most interested in this when Ryan mentioned Carebit, is so I'll preface my statement by saying I just learned about what a masternode is like 3 weeks ago in conversation with Ryan, and so forgive me if I'm not fully understanding the concept. But one of the things that Ryan discussed about masternodes is the concept of passive income. And the kind of the doors that masternodes open for the collection of passive income once you've made the initial investment. Something that nonprofits really struggle with is the idea of raising one very specific type of funds that we call unrestricted funds.
Yes.
Are you familiar with the term?
Yes, Ryan told me about it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And this is like the money that I was trying to explain to Ryan, trying to figure out how to explain it. But it's the money that it's worth more than all the other money, because it's very flexible capital. Usually nonprofits, at least in the United States, because we're so heavily regulated, we're not able to spend the funds that we receive at our own discretion. We have to use the funds in the way that our donors have specifically laid out. And oftentimes that's legitimate and that's done with good reason. But there are other times when that's overly restrictive and it prevents us from investing in things that would make our work more efficient or more strategic, that would enable us to scale faster or become more efficient through certain strategic investments. And so nonprofit organizations tend to look for this flexible, unrestricted capital in order to make strategic investments, things like tech systems or investing in a new pilot program or an experimental approach that may or may not work. And if it does, it might radically transform the impact. So when Ryan brought up the idea of masternodes, my first reaction was, wow, that's exactly what nonprofits look for when it comes to some method of generating unrestricted funds. And so I wanted to bring that up just as perhaps an idea for you to think about or toy around with.
Yes.
Because that's, I think, for many nonprofits, the holy grail. It's the other thing that it does is it helps to smooth the grant cycle for nonprofits. Unfortunately, many funders, institutions like foundations or companies like corporate social responsibility departments, they tend to fund nonprofit work in short cycles, 1 year, 2 years. But we all know that, social problems like illiteracy or poverty or hunger, they don't follow 1 year cycles.
Yes.
They're persistent and ongoing. And so when funding is cut up into 1 and 2 year chunks, it's very disruptive to a nonprofit or charity's ability to sustainably meet the social challenge.
Yes, that's correct. I was discussing this actually with Ian. Ian is my general manager. I was discussing this.
Hi, Ian.
Hi there. Yes, I was speaking with Atik earlier. Sorry, I arrived to the meeting late, so I'm not really sure what you covered, so I didn't want to butt in there. But if there's anything specific that you feel you're missing out on, if you want to give me the question, I'll see if I can answer it for you.
Yeah, Muriel, I was actually discussing this with Ian before as well about passive income for non-profit sector. This could be actually a great thing for you guys. You don't need any technical expertise on that. If we decide, say, to support education for employment, and or for example, any other organization, we can actually run master nodes, and then whatever, if it makes it for you guys easy, we can actually distribute those master cards to you guys or whoever charity organization we think we can partner with, and then you can actually just use it as a normal master card. The care would be there in your card account for you to spend. So that's not a problem. I mean, you won't have to run any master nodes or anything like that. We can actually send those care with the passive income directly to your wallets.
I think that's I think that's something that you would find very strong reception from nonprofits on, because I think there's certainly a barrier, no matter how easy you make it for nonprofits. I can speak from direct experience. Everything in this world seems scary, I think, to people who are outside of it. You know how the media has talked a lot about bubbles and things like that. And so there's a little bit of negative PR around cryptocurrencies. And
that's what my actually website guy, he actually deleted those comments from my website, but I was actually having those comments since the day one that I need to change that perception of crypto. Crypto is not for those things. It can actually help people and change lives.
Yeah, I think so. So this actually sounds like a different kind of model than the one that you're pursuing. One of the things I found most interesting about just the concept of a master-node in any currency is that I can envision a scenario where a donor who feels very passionate about a certain actually donates a master-node to a nonprofit.
Yes.
And so that is a source of sustainable smoothing income for the nonprofit.
Yes.
And so I think that is actually currency agnostic. That sounds like it could work with almost any currency. And it also sounds like it's not the main purpose of Carebit. But I was very captivated by this idea.
Yes. Yes.
Well,
it works like that. The more master nodes you have, the more passive income you will have. And with time, once the coin price increases, you can actually get more out of it.
Yeah. Well, I want to pause here. You've taken so much time to answer my questions, which had just come about from curiosity.
I'm sorry. Don't worry about it. It's my pleasure. I'm honored to be your host. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And, is there, I'm sure that you have a lot of conversations like this with people who are involved in nonprofits and charities. And so, if you have any questions that I might be able to answer for you, please let me know, whether now or if you want to reach out. I'd be happy to reconnect if additional ideas pop up as you're going through this process, or if questions arise about how nonprofits might react to certain approaches.
Yes, definitely. Ian, you have got any questions?
Yes, well, as I say, I arrived late, so I'm not sure what you actually covered. Some of the things I can't talk about at the moment. We are in private discussions. There is a lot more to Carebit than actually meets the eye. What I can say is some of the things that Marielle has just touched on there, we have plans to provide the rewards from sponsored masternodes. So donators or donations can pay for a dedicated masternode, which would then provide income to a single or group of recipients. That is all in the future, in our future plans.
Well, that's so exciting. I'm sure that you'll have a lot of very, very enthusiastic nonprofit or chariot recipients of those.
Thank you.
That's really great to learn.
Yes, I'm not sure, as I say, was there anything else, Marielle, that you believe you're missing out or you haven't got answered properly? I will see if I can answer it for you.
No, I think that I have a pretty good understanding of what the product and the system is right now. And, all I can say is I look forward to continuing to learn more and to see how the organization kind of gets started and gets traction.
We look
Sure,
forward.
that's fine.
Thank you very much. Anybody else has got any questions?
I was just wanting to say, Marielle, if you want to send me an email to ian@carebit.org, there is some cases I have where I have, discussed these similar things to other charities at which I can show you. I have them in front of me here at the minute on my computer, but I can give you an idea into our insight and where we're actually going with this. But there is a lot more than meets the eye, and as I say, we deal in facts, and we only actually announce something whenever we know it's 100% confirmed. We are dealing with a number of very interesting products and projects, and if these come off, they would be definitely something that you would be interested in, because just listening in to what I have, you've been asking a lot of the things where we are actually in discussion at the moment, such as not having or not giving funds directly to people on the ground. There's other ways to do it where they can't, they can have donations or they can have funds, but they won't be spendable. They'll be specifically for the recipient. So as I say, there's lots of things I can't go into, unfortunately, because we are in public and nothing is confirmed. But if you want to send me an email, there's certainly a few things that I can share with you.
I'd love to do that. Thank you so much. It sounds like we're thinking along similar lines, so I really look forward to learning more.
Very much. Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you all. I hope that you have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Same to yourself.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Anybody else has got questions from community? Ihsan is also here. Hello.
Hey, this is Ryan. I wasn't going to ask any questions, but I'm glad Marielle could join. When she and I had some conversations related to nonprofit, I recognized immediately that a webinar like this was going to be useful, not just for her and for us, but for anybody that wants to understand exactly what we're trying to solve here. So I appreciate you taking the time setting this up, and I'll continue to help get more people involved and educate.
Thank you very much for your help. Thank you very much. You are always welcome. It's not about anything about time. I'm always willing to spend any time you want.
Yeah, well, I'm developing a masternode infrastructure for a private company full time, so
Okay.
I've got a lot of time to spend with you as we've discussed, and I'm just excited to continue to help the cause here.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Anybody else want to ask anything?
Hey, Sam, what about you?
You
I
are
think he's on.
you are
Yeah,
muted, Hassan. You are muted, Hassan. Hassan, you are muted. Yeah.
Yes. Hi, Ian. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
That's
How
brilliant.
are you?
I'm fine. Thank you very much. And yourself?
Yes, good, thanks. As I said, unfortunately, I got here a bit late, so I probably missed out on some of the most important points, and I didn't want to butt in and repeat my, maybe things that had already been discussed, which was unfortunate. But if Marielle follows up with me, I'm sure I'll be able to give her what she's looking for.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
All right, Ian. Thank you very much, everybody. Then, thank you very much for your time, all of you. Hope to see you again next time. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Thank you very much. All right. Have a good evening, everyone.
Have a good evening. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Take care, guys.